How do you plan for a month when everything feels like it's falling apart? I've done enough reading of psychology books over the years, adult self help, raising children, mental illness, neurodivergence, ADHD, all of those things to know that one of the best things you can do for your mental health when things feel chaotic is to find something that you can control, to focus small, to narrow in your field of vision just a little bit. It doesn't change what's going on. This is not about burying your head in the sand. This is about making little changes where you are, looking at the big picture, building like somebody neurodivergent is prone to do, and starting from the ground, the details, and planting those seeds with the big picture in mind, understanding the problems, knowing that big problems get tackled one moment at a time, one decision at a time, and seeing how the little things that I do in my own life are making the world a better place is one of the only things that I can control right now. On the other side of this election, in the 2.5 months we have left of before a second term of a Trump presidency, I need to remind myself why the work that I'm doing, sitting here at my computer in Oregon, matters for this country, why it matters for me and my children, and what I can do myself moving forward. I spent my morning, I spent it numb. Now I'm itching to know what I can still do. So I'm going to plan my month. I waited until after the election on purpose because I knew that I would need to take into consideration how this election would take a toll on my mental health. And so I'm going to plan with that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and answer these questions about my month. I will come back when I've answered them and we'll discuss which projects I'm going to work on and how I'm going to do the work, but also give myself grace. Okay, so I have done a little bit of journaling, thinking through what I have on my plate and how I want to feel. I know the most important thing that I can do for myself is take care of myself and give myself a sense of purpose, which means that it is more important to me than ever that my projects align with my priorities and I feel like I'm making a difference in the world. What this means for me in terms of actionable content, I guess, is that I finish editing the fantasy novel that I'm working on that I think has important themes that we need to deal with. So I want that out in the world again. I want to be finishing my musical, which again, I think is more important than ever, talking about people's inherent humanity and ways that we objectify people, and that backfires. And also, I have a structural critique that I have signed up to do where I'm just looking at a novel and trying to figure out why the pacing feels off in the last quarter, especially. So that is something that I think is really important for me to focus on. I also think that outside of work, outside of like paid work and editing, it's important for me to clean my house, partially because I tend to feel that way as the year comes to a close, as I start looking at the presents that I'm sure my kids will get from their fantastic grandparents and so on, moving into the holiday season. It's just the kind of the rhythm of moving into deep fall and these dark days for me, but also I need something to do with my hands. I know that I can keep my head down and stay busy and focus on my mental health at a time that it's really important to keep it so that I have the energy to do the work that I need to, especially as we move into January. And finally, I do think it's important still for me to develop the templates that I had planned for a 12-week creative year. Doing more in that respect is still going to matter. It's still going to be important to be able to be a productive creative person. And I think it will be harder. So having guidelines might be even more useful than it felt 2 or 3 days ago. I also have a basic version of my novel writing companion that I want to get out so that there is an option for people that isn't so feature heavy and overwhelming. So, obviously, some obstacles I have are that I'm scared. I'm willing to admit that I'm scared. On the whole, I survived the 4 years we had last time without a tremendous impact to myself, and I'm scared that will not be the same, even just beyond the fear that I have about something that isn't even going to start happening in earnest for another 2 months. I'm going to be gone for another week of November. This finally reaching the end of my year of a lot of traveling. This time I actually get to go see the Eras Tour, and I wish I were as excited about it today as I was a couple days ago. But here we are. Hopefully, it will be the life changing experience that I've heard it is from everybody who's seen it. I've kept avoiding like watching live streams and everything so that I can experience it in the moment. And I think hopefully giving myself the option for that new joy, something that's going to be surprising to me, is going to help. Then there's just the regular aspects of November, non school days, Thanksgiving, the ways that things always feel to like they're starting to catapult downhill as we get closer to the end of the year. In a change of pace for me, for a bare minimum month, I am truly, truly, truly like digging into that idea of a bare minimum, which is just make it through without losing hope. I enjoy my time away, focus on each day as it happens, let each day bring me a sense of purpose. Ideally, I think if I had to work on a project, and just one project, it would be the structural evaluation. That has the most strict deadline. It's the closest to my heart. Also, being able to do this big picture analysis of a story where I break down what's happening structurally and figure out what the sticking points are, why it's not landing the way it's supposed to. That's my favorite work. Like this high level work as opposed to in the weeds where I am double checking that eye color is the same and fixing commas. I can do that work. I'm good at that work. I usually enjoy that work, but not quite as much as I enjoy solving story. So I definitely want that to be my biggest priority because, again, I want this to be such a bare minimum that I can trick myself into feeling like a rock star for getting anything more than that done. In a Rockstar month, I not only finished the structural edit, but the fantasy edit that I'm about halfway done with. I wanted to finish it by the 15th. We will see if that happens. I also have a potential collaborator that I'm working with on songs for my musical, and I would love to keep that collaboration going, which of course is a two-way street, so I don't have total control over that the way I like to have control over my goals. But I also would love to complete a draft of the book of Act Two, the new songs that I'm writing, pull everything together, finish it, figure out how I'm going to untie all of the complications that I made for them. I know I'm going to get to happily ever after, and I'm that in between that is a little bit tricky. In a Rockstar month 2, I have a clean house. I've gone through and done some of the deeper cleaning things, windowsills or baseboards or the toaster. And I also hopefully have been selected for the Notion marketplace that's being released so that I can sell templates directly from inside Notion, which I'm really excited about the opportunity for. And I want to have one or both of my new templates done for that. Plus, I want to stay on top of my planning, especially for YouTube and Medium. So the next thing that I have set up in my monthly plan is the projects that I could potentially finish this month. Last month, I finished 18. I only have 9 projects on my list right now, but I usually add like YouTube videos as I think of the idea, and right now I don't have any. But again, this is the fantasy novel that I have a high priority for, the structural edit, and then writing my fast draft. Those are the high priority things I have. The Autumn House reset was a low priority item in October that I'm making a medium priority in November because, again, it's getting a little bit closer to the end of the year. Then I have these 2 templates for Notion. The home studio course for transformational songwriting will help me be able to do the recording if I end up getting to the stage where I get to record more professional demos than I have just in voice memos on my phone. And then I have here some low priority items. One of them is an article that I keep putting off. So this one I added to my list because if I can't bring myself to do anything that requires using my brain to a huge extent, then I can at least update my Notion database that has all of the calls that we complete for my songwriting class. Then I have these other projects that I have already completed. I'm going to go ahead and assume that they were high priority because I did them all. My tasks are going to get a little bit more robust as the month continues because this is something that I fill out as I figure out what my projects need. But for now, these are the tasks that I have, and I really, really hope that just finding myself some purpose in my life is going to make it a little bit easier to get through this month, to still find joy in it. And I hope that you're able to do the same.